Look into that one.
And you're reporting if, you're stumbling upon other owners.
By the way, it's funny. Like, my tip line has never been more used by enemies of Jalen Brunson.
So, Pablo Torre just flipped the NBA upside down. One explosive report on Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers, and suddenly every GM is sweating like the league just got raided. But here's the twist. He's not stopping there. If you're a Knicks fan, brace yourself, because Jalen Brunson's name is now floating in the same storm. Right after the Kawhi story broke, Pablo went on the Dan Patrick Show and dropped a hint that sent shockwaves. When asked about Brunson, he didn't dodge, he didn't deny. He gave an answer that made it clear. The Knicks might be under fire next.
Well, look, how he arrived at the Knicks, this is where I will have to defer to the reporting I may or may not do on this. Certainly was interesting, right?
Kawhi Leonard once pocketed $48 million from a so-called tree planting company, and we all know how shady that looked. Now, here's the twist. Jalen Brunson's move to the Knicks carries eerie parallels, almost like the same playbook got reused. This isn't just about hiring his dad or the obvious connections. It's about a pattern so clear that once you see it laid out, you'll wonder how it was ignored for so long. Let's rewind to June 2022. The Knicks weren't signing stars first. They hired Rick Brunson, Jalen's father, as an assistant coach. Sure, Rick was qualified, but the timing was too perfect. Add to that Leon Rose, the Knicks president, being Brunson's godfather, and his own son serving as Brunson's agent. That's not just business. It's family ties written all over the front office. And then, right after, Brunson signs. Coincidence? Hardly. But context matters. The Knicks were desperate. After Julius Randle's playoff collapse and 2 decades of point guard disasters, the pressure was unbearable. They needed a savior, and Brunson was coming off a 32-point playoff performance, filling in for Luka. The Knicks couldn't afford to miss. Just like the Clippers with Kawhi, desperation leads to bending rules. The NBA actually confirmed tampering, docking the Knicks a 2025 second-round pick for negotiating early. That's basically the league admitting the Knicks cheated, but slapping them on the wrist. Meanwhile, the Mavericks didn't help themselves either. Mark Cuban admitted they never made a real offer before Brunson's breakout, lowballed him after, and then blamed his father. By the time Cuban realized his mistake, the Knicks had swooped in. When you line it up, the timing, the family ties, the desperation, the Brunson signing looks less like luck and more like a carefully constructed scheme.
I'm just saying, well, that's when I heard that, that's what maybe I felt a little certain way, but I got over it. Obviously, that's my parents, and so.
Well, and I apologize. I think put you in a certain way. That wasn't the intention, but it was hard to deal with. It was unique. It was a unique negotiation in a lot of different ways.
But guys, this is just the appetizer. Remember, the NBA already confirmed the Knicks tampered when signing Jalen Brunson, but the punishment was so soft that it barely mattered. What Pablo Torre is digging into now is far more shocking: Brunson's recent contract extension. Let's be clear. If Brunson really gave up $113 million just so New York could re-sign OG Anunoby, trade for Karl Anthony Towns, and keep Mikal Bridges, then he's instantly a Knicks legend. That level of sacrifice shows a player putting winning above everything, even generational wealth. It sets the Knicks up for a real shot at the NBA Finals. And while Pablo could still come back with nothing, you don't tease something like this on the Dan Patrick Show without reason.
Well, look, how he arrived at the Knicks, this is where I will have to defer to the reporting I may or may not do on this. Certainly was interesting, right?
If you don't actually have something, then the real story is what happened in July 2024, because that's when things get really suspicious. Jalen Brunson signed a 4-year, $156 million extension. Sounds huge, right? But if he had waited just one more year, he could have signed a 5-year, $269 million deal. That's $113 million left on the table, more than most NBA players will ever see in their careers. That's generational wealth. And Brunson basically said, nah, I just want to win. If that's truly the case, he's a Knicks legend. But would anyone really walk away from that much money without getting something in return? Here's where the timing gets wild. The same summer Brunson signed that discount deal, his dad, Rick Brunson, was promoted to lead assistant coach. The NBA immediately launched an investigation into whether that promotion was compensation. The Knicks pushed back hard, calling the accusations offensive and even saying the NBA was harassing them. But let's be real. Innocent people usually just cooperate. Now, Pablo Torre is reportedly looking into Brunson's endorsements. And this is where things mirror Kawhi Leonard's saga. Kawhi's uncle made demands, and after shady negotiations, he wound up with a $48 million tree planting sponsorship. With Brunson, Rick Brunson played a similar role. He handled the negotiations, got hired by the Knicks, then promoted right after his son took a $100 million discount. Meanwhile, Brunson's endorsements exploded. Body Armor in Queens, Nike, Delta, Dunkin' Donuts, all legit brands, but the timing is suspicious. And here's the biggest red flag. Mark Cuban. He usually screams when he feels cheated. But about Brunson, he's quiet, almost defensive, saying both sides won. That silence says more than words, because it's not the Cuban we know. Something about this whole situation just doesn't add up.
That was a mistake, right? So it went, the person who traded Luka didn't want me there. They won, I lost.
Unless Mark Cuban knows that if people start digging too deep into NBA salary cap tricks, the Mavericks might get exposed too. Because here's the truth. Every single team in the league is searching for loopholes. Every owner is trying to figure out ways to pay players more without having it count against the cap. And right now, the Clippers are the ones who got caught. That's exactly why Pablo Torre's investigation is so dangerous for the NBA. It's not just about one player or one team. It's about exposing how the entire system might be rigged. Think about it. Kawhi Leonard allegedly pulled in $48 million through a fake sponsorship company. Jalen Brunson? He took a $113 million discount while his dad got promoted inside the Knicks organization. How many other shady deals are hiding in plain sight? How many times have we seen a star take a hometown discount and suddenly their brother, cousin, or even father gets a cushy job with the team? How many players signed for less, only to land massive endorsement deals with companies conveniently connected to ownership? Pablo himself admitted that his tip line is blowing up, and a lot of those tips are pointing at Brunson. Sure, many are coming from his so-called enemies, but enemies often pay the closest attention. And when you follow the Brunson timeline, it's impossible not to notice the patterns. Rick Brunson hired in June 2022. Jalen signs with the Knicks in July. The NBA investigates and finds tampering. Fast forward to summer 2024. Jalen leaves $113 million on the table, Rick gets promoted to lead assistant, and boom, the NBA launches another investigation. Twice the league looked into this. Twice, they handed out nothing but slap-on-the-wrist punishments. A second-round pick for tampering? That's pocket change. Why wouldn't every team tamper if that's all it costs? Here's the thing. The NBA doesn't want to open Pandora's box. They don't want people like Pablo uncovering how widespread this behavior really is. But Pablo isn't here to protect the league. He's here to chase the story. And if he proves that Brunson's discount was tied to his dad's promotion or linked to some backdoor endorsement, the consequences could be catastrophic. The Knicks built their entire roster around Brunson's discount. Karl Anthony Towns, OG, Anunoby, Mikal Bridges. All those moves only worked because Brunson took less. If the NBA finds wrongdoing, that contract could be voided. Brunson could hit free agency. The Knicks could lose picks, face massive fines, and yes, even see James Dolan suspended. Don't forget, other owners would love to take Dolan down. He's feuded with Adam Silver, criticized the league, and been a thorn in everyone's side for years. And here's the part Knicks fans should fear most. Pablo teased on the Dan Patrick Show that this isn't just speculation. What if there are emails? What if there are texts? What if someone inside the Knicks leaks documents? That's how these scandals always break, and the Knicks are notorious for dysfunction. I'll be real. I respect Brunson. His rise is inspiring, his leadership undeniable. But even great stories can have shady chapters. And if Pablo is connecting the dots like he did with Kawhi, the Knicks better lawyer up, because this time, it's bigger than one player. It's New York. It's the NBA's biggest market. And Pablo doesn't tease unless he already knows there's fire beneath the smoke.